Hi ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Share Your Grin. I am so excited to talk about this because this is a fantastic show that I love to bits and I really want to talk your ear off about it. But also in this video we're going to be addressing some questions that I'm sure some people are asking, because that's what I was asking, so hopefully I'm not too unique in this and people are curious about when season 6 of the show we're going to be talking about today, which is Lucifer, is going to be premiering, and also what we could expect after the incredible cliffhanger of the last season, which I will not spoil yet. But yes, we're going to be getting to that in a couple minutes. But basically, this is one of the rare instances where we can't really talk about, well, I guess I could be really vague about it. Basically, jumped around the internet, found some stuff out. This is what I got from this article. It's pretty great. But it is unlikely that we will see season 6 until early 2022. So expect Lucifer season 6 around early 2022. So sometime next year, early next year, possibly late this year, we don't know. All we knew, and this is what when I made a video way in the past when I just finished watching season 4. Essentially, Netflix purchased Lucifer, the show itself, and gave it 2 more seasons, greenlit 2 more seasons. But that was right around 2020, which then COVID hit and everything kind of fell apart, specifically things in post-production. So like the editing kind of sphere of that all got really slowed down. But again, apparently all of the stuff for season 6, the last season of Lucifer, by the way, that is all filmed and now they're just editing it, but still they're kind of trying to fight with the fact that they were delayed because of COVID and all the weirdness there, and with filming some tiny shots here or there that slowed down the process quite a lot, which is why people are expecting that it's probably going to be coming out 2022, early 2022 at the latest, so next year, early next year, or really late this year, depending on what happens. But yeah, just because the main character, Lucifer himself, basically was talking about the fact that they've had it in the post-production for a good bit, but he doesn't know. He doesn't know, but they should be close to finishing it, not like a year and a half or something off. But hopefully just a couple months, like maybe 7 or some odd months away from finishing it, which is still a good bit of time, especially at the cliffhanger that happened. But ladies and gentlemen, we're on season 6, so it's hard for me to sell you on the show, but I want to quickly tell you a quick synopsis of why this show is so fantastic, just in case we have some new people who are popping in and checking out me ramble about the show that I thought was cool. But maybe you don't want it to be spoiled for you, because this is a show that I very much think is worth watching, although it is not a show that I think is spoilable, because it is like, as most shows, I think it is in the unraveling and development of characters that makes it quite enjoyable and unique. But this specific part in the show is pretty, it could either make people who aren't really affected by spoilers really excited for where the show could go, or take the wind out of some people's sails, so I'll be careful with that. But anyways, my best sell for the show that maybe you don't know is Lucifer is about a DC comic playing off of, again, heaven, angels, hell, all of these things, God, all of these things, following Lucifer, the devil, who is retired from hell, and he's in LA as this nightclub owner, and essentially he embarks by happen chance to interact with this detective that is basically he finds himself connected to, or desiring or wanting to be around, because he thinks she's interesting. Long story short, this basically has the devil working with the detective to solve crime in a very cool way. Now that sounds like an interesting idea, but the show is, and I argue, made by the actor that they chose to play Lucifer. Not to diminish everyone else's role in the show, because a lot of good people act in the show incredibly, but man, I don't think they could find a better devil, like a charming but yet powerful and like dangerous but also like goofy and fun and playful kind of character to represent what some people, at least in the better lights of what that could be, than the guy that they chose. But yes, that is the sentiment of the show, is you want to see the devil being charming, witty, and powerful in his own right, whilst being taking on these journeys and solving crimes. Also, apparently, the devil has the ability to understand what you desire, which of course can help people admitting fault or admitting a lead, which is why he's kind of pulled along on this thread of helping this detective go through things, and then crazy stuff ensues. It's got 6 seasons worth of stuff ensuing. The only negative I have for the show that I could prepare you for is the show has a bad habit of relearning or re-experiencing different things that they should have already experienced. So like a person learns a lesson, an event happens, person somehow forgets lesson and has to relearn it, maybe not that season but the next season, and it's just the kind of yo-yoing weird back and forth, which I feel like is the show's one fair criticism. Oh great, Lucifer has to learn this lesson again. What are we doing? What is happening? Shit. Anyway, season 6 though, it does end in like, no, he's now stabilized, which is quite good. And it does end in an interesting way. Let's just say that. Yeah, because season 6, for those guys who do not know, is basically a roundup of every character. So each episode is going to be focused on a character with a time jump. So it's kind of just making it so like, hey, if you watched and supported this show for such a long time, we are going to take care of you. We are going to show you with the characters you love, who are now taken care of, who are now happy, who now have fulfilling jobs, life, whatever, in the future. So we're going to show each and every one of you the characters you fell in love with in a nice light. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But ladies and gentlemen, the next question we're going to be talking about is just me talking about season 5, and then we'll talk about what to expect from season 6. Which a lot of them actually have talked about, because it kind of makes sense. It's like, hey, this last season is kind of like a round off of every character with a time jump, and after season 5's ending, boy howdy, do we have questions and interest in what's going to happen. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. But anyways, big spoiler warning for season 5, as well as just everything after this point. Everything is fair game, full send, all that. Be careful moving forward, all that. Okay, so season 5, my dude, I need to drink some water because it's just crazy. Man, the one that okay, so season 5, very much enjoyed it, although again, it kind of still had that weird thing where we got the second half, you know what I mean? And it was about like God is introduced and plays like a huge pivotal part in it now. And the actor that plays him is very charming, very like, I don't know what you'd call it, but benevolent, like this weird feeling of like, woo. So yeah, that was great. But I do feel like, again, it like, Lucifer has it, in my opinion, at least with some of the seasons, especially with the last 3 episodes kind of vibe, is it has a pacing issue, where like it feels like in the last episode, it should have been 3 episodes, because like they were just like bang, 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 and you're like, why? It's a lot to take in, but it's great. I'm happy with the outcome, and I'm enjoying the theatrics, but it does feel like, did we really need the episode of like Dan getting trolled? And could we not have used more of that to like explore why the hell Lucifer can't go to heaven, or like what the hell the pearly gates, how the hell that even work, anything like that. Just to kind of flush out that, rather than it just be like bang, bang, done, bang, bang, done. But regardless, the ending is like, I don't know how you can finish the season, like everything. The ending just trumps everything else in this thing you just watched. Where again, not Gabriel, what's his name? Lucifer's like brother, the one scarred guy, Tom, just in makeup. Anyways, yeah, that one is just weird because it seems like things are kind of at odds. But maybe that's the point, because it does seem like at least the way he was played, Lucifer's brother, never really seemed like he was 100% all in. Like even when he killed Chloe, and maybe it could be argued that he also really liked Chloe, but even when he did that, he seemed like he was still kind of like off. Like he didn't want, and maybe that's what they're trying to argue, is that he's not like gone. He's not like hopelessly evil. He's just kind of like obsessed with power and doing that. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's a cruel, like evil individual. It just means he's manipulative and has bad traits. But it doesn't necessarily want to like kill his family, although he kind of did. That's the weird thing. It's like he still murdered his sister and all these things. So that's something I'm hoping that, well, I don't even know, because he didn't really that was another criticism, which I don't mean to be throwing those around. I like the last season of quite a lot, but they started like doing things that to me I was like, why? Like they killed Dan, and they killed the one girl, which kind of was an asshole anyway, so I kind of get it. But anyway, but Dan, why kill Dan? Also, Dan like died. It's always the fucking most annoying thing when someone's like, I stayed alive to tell you one thing, and now conveniently I'm dead. Oh wait, there's an ambulance. I'm still dead, even though that's not really how that works. It's actually like, what? If you could stay alive for that long, it's not like your body is just on a singular thread. Anyways, it's weirdness. But also, with that being said, though, they handled it pretty. in a pretty interesting way, where like it was pretty emotional, but also if you think like I feel like the last season, or the fifth season, not the last season, sorry, the fifth season, was made by like two people. So it was made, the first, like most of the episodes, like 80% of the episodes were made by one person, and then the last 2 or 3 were made by another person. Because I feel like all of the stuff from the third episodes kind of makes sense. Like they're like, okay, well Dan dies, and because Dan has a shit ton of trauma, he has like a bunch of, he thinks he was a dirty cop at one point. He was never afraid to do bad things to get like the good guys a win, and all that, work with bad people just to get his ends met, kind of, and take care of his. He was that kind of person, which leads him to probably have a lot of like, yeah, I'm not a great guy. Like I'm probably bad. Like if I was going, I wouldn't be surprised if I went to hell kind of mindset or thought process maybe. So he ends up in hell. Anyways, so this makes sense of why, like a lot of the questions were, what would happen. Like if season 6 is supposed to be this kind of round off of like all of our favorite characters in a nice or interesting future that is good for them, then what would happen to Maze? Maze could have had like a fan, like she could have been a bounty hunter with Eve, but it just feels like it wouldn't be a solid ending, especially for a fucking badass like Maze. But Maze, like the final season covering how Maze is now the ruler of hell. Her boss is God, which we didn't mention, by the way, and Maze can now make sure that Dan is okay, or Lucifer can make sure like Dan becomes like the angel of death, or something, or a guardian angel for Trixie, which I think is what they're going to lead in with Dan. Because they did say in this article that the producers mentioned that Dan has come back for season 6. But we don't know what in capacity. I don't think he's going to be revived, like brought back to Earth, but I do think he could be promoted to like an angel, or like a demon that could maybe, or like the demon of death or something like that, something that could help with the transfer of lives, and could watch over Trixie and all these kinds of ways. So we'll see what that looks like. I don't think he's going to be revived. It would be cool if he was. I'd be down with that. But yeah, if you think about the last 3 episodes as I was like basically trying to connect, okay, well, what would happen to Amenadiel? Okay, well now it's kind of a poetic thing where the son that had to run hell, that was banished from heaven, did a ton of like proving himself on Earth. Now Amenadiel, the person that everyone suspected would be God and was one of the best angels ever, now he's swapped places with Lucifer, and now he's going to kind of watch over humanity, be a cop, be a dad, and now Lucifer is now the god of the world, or whatever. Although we don't know what kind of, like, is Lucifer God? We don't know a lot of that stuff. Like, is he actually, or is he just like has the title of God but isn't actually God? We don't know. Because yeah, nothing like. We just don't know. Anyways, and what do you call it? Her the wonderful, like, just joyous, like a forensic analyst who's just like everyone's favorite character basically. She just seems so sweet. Anyways, she seems like her progression probably would be something in the realm of her maybe even becoming a detective, but also having like that boyfriend that Dan introduced them to and whatnot like that. So we could see their future developing, although there is still a bunch. And this is kind of my weird thing with the whole season is like, okay, but she had a problem with like what's going to happen with Lucifer and now Chloe not being in the picture. Is like Dan gonna kind of play a big part, and now he's gonna be kind of in this realm of, or not, sorry, not Dan, Amenadiel. Is Amenadiel gonna kind of take the place of Lucifer and Chloe, and then a forensic analyst person is going to now be like Chloe, and what you call it, fucking Amenadiel is gonna be like the kind of Dan / Lucifer of like helping them solve mysteries. Or this is what I'm kind of leaning on. I think Chloe Decker is basically going to be like Lucifer and her, because now she theoretically has immortality with the ring, which is also interesting. I don't know how they're going to play with that, but also she has super strength if she chooses to keep the little dagger thing, little necklace. We'll see. But regardless, they kind of hinted at the fact that she's immortal now, and I don't know if she takes off the ring if she's going to die. So this leaves her in a weird position. I don't know how they're going to play with that idea in season 6, which is kind of what I'm curious about. Are they going to make it so that she basically lives forever and can be by Lucifer's side the whole time? And what I would assume or think what's going to happen is I think they're going to show Lucifer in season 6 and Chloe actually doing the relationship stuff, maybe having a child of their own and stuff like that. But then, and I would kind of like if they talked about this, because that's the true other underlying question for both Maze and Lucifer and Chloe. Or sorry, Maze and Eve and Lucifer and Chloe, is the fact that both of their people are human. They need to, or not, they don't need, but they're probably most likely going to die. And that was a huge part of Maze's story, is the fact that eventually Eve is going to die and Maze is going to accept that. But then what happens with Chloe is they could either go the route where like Chloe's like, okay, well I'll stay by your side forever, which I think would be very, very endearing with how much, because that's the other thing, man. Like they kind of talk about this passively, slightly, a little bit in season 6 or 5. But if like Lucifer has put in a stupid, silly amount of work in terms of like, what do you call it? Like trying to make it so that she's okay. Again, he like ripped out his own heart at one point in one of the seasons, where he like literally got married to this random girl just to try to make it so that they could stay away from each other, just so that she could have her autonomy, because how things could play, and all of these things. Just really given every single thing he has. He was a successful, I know he's a god or whatever, he's an angel, but he was a successful nightclub owner and still bent over backwards to help her with her cases and everything. Like there's a little of imbalance there. So it would be cool to see like maybe Chloe be like, okay, well you did all of that for me. The least I can do is be there for you for as long as my mind can handle it. But that's the thing I'm getting at, is I do hope in season 6 where they do show that she's sticking around for a long time, but I also do hope that, and I hope as well they show her maybe living beyond Trixie, which I know could be a little morally weird, but then I also would want to see her eventually take off the ring and be like, okay, like I've lived as long as I possibly can, and I'm all used up, I'm all worn out, I can't go anymore. Takes off the ring, and maybe even Lucifer takes off the ring for her as like, you've done more than enough, you've been with me for more than enough, and takes the ring off or something like that to kind of help with that sentiment. Because I don't know, they could literally just start season 6 and be like, yeah, pop the ring off, get some medical help, full send it. I don't know how that would work, because she's fully dead, like she was gone, you know what I mean? That seems to be a thing in the show of like, when you're dead, you're gone. It's like you can't really pull yourself back, which is weird. But she was literally chilling and hanging out in heaven, so she was thoroughly gone. So I don't know if, again, I think the ring forcibly brings you back, so I don't know if you can take off the ring. Regardless, it'll be really interesting to see what they do with Chloe and of course Lucifer in the future. I really, really hope they do like just pull on all of the heartstrings. I really hope they show them having kids. I really hope they show Lucifer being a dad and kind of fucking struggling with that. I really hope also, that's the other big fucking thing. How are they gonna manage? Like, I do think Chloe's probably going to continue to be a detective, because Lucifer doesn't want to take that from her, and that's a source of joy that she has, which is why I think, like, again, the way that she could kind of pay it forward is to try to live for as long as she possibly can, or for as long as she can handle, like, seeing everyone around her die, which will be really hard, you know. But yeah, it would just be a cool way to see that paid forward, I think. But because if she's just like, yeah, well, I'm just gonna, you know, whenever I turn 80 or whenever Trixie dies, popping that off and dying because I don't want to live anymore, it'd be like, well, Lucifer literally gave everything, like almost everything actually, even in the first season, gave everything, just so that you could live. So the fact that you're like, yeah, fuck it, takes off ring is like, well, shit, you couldn't have lived like 2 decades, or like 2 centuries, goddamn. Anyways, as of Amenadiel, I don't know where, again, we'll see just him be a dad, right, and just see his kid develop, and maybe there's like hints at him actually having angelic powers and not just being like, you know, dying essentially. Or maybe that, they could do that. I don't know if they would though, but maybe that's what that is. Maybe like Chloe takes off the ring that she has. Maybe this is right around the time when what's her name, her daughter's dying, and then gives her ring to Amenadiel's son so that he could live forever. Although I think that was still a cornerstone moment of like something they're trying to introduce, where like death happens. It's not a horrible thing as long as you're going into it with no regrets. Then you're good. And that was something I didn't really flush out with May. Oh no, I did. Yeah, I talked about how I hope that Dan like is okay. Like he becomes like an angel of death that helps people come and go, or just like what Maze was for Lucifer, Dan will be for Maze, if that makes any sense, which could be cool. Although, I don't know, Maze is kind of sadistic, and I'm not sure how that plays, because, But also, it'd be funny seeing how, like, Maze, and I bet that probably could be how that plays, too. Yeah, I could see how Maze, in the pursuit to help Dan forgive himself, realizes that that's probably what hell should be, is, like, instead of it just being a torture fest, it should be, how do you push past your suffering or like your own failure, and shortcomings. So here's what we are guaranteed to get, which I kind of already have talked about, forgive me. A little bit of spoilers for season 5. Again, that was all speculation on my part. So these are all the like things that they haven't went into, which we'll see contribute in season 6, which one of them is, Chloe's no longer a detective and now is helping Lucifer. Maze and Eve got back together. That's a whole bunch of stuff. Also, Linda, this is something I forgot about, it was in her arc, but her lost daughter, how that plays and how that could develop. Michael getting his wings cut off. That was a big thing. Lucifer basically forgiving him to some extent, which to me, I think, I don't know. I was really hoping that they would do a better job about cementing certain things, because it was kind of like, it seemed like Lucifer was like, what happened? And they're like, how do you fucking accidentally become God? What has happened? Anyways, I was hoping that they would do a little bit more like I don't know, like Michael said, like lightning. Also, finally, I remember his name. Like Michael said, like a lightning bolt hits behind him, and like it's clear, like no, you get the power now. But also they talk about how angels self-actualize. So maybe by Lucifer forgiving Michael in the way that he did felt like a godly act, and therefore now he is God because he has done a godly act. Whereas Michael always wanted, but it was never, if that makes any sense, like was never the thing that you needed to be, or determined himself to be that, which is why he kept pining and like slandering other people's names so that he could feel like he was, but truly deep down I don't think he did. At least that's what I feel like I got from the story. So this is what the developers of the show says. We're going beyond a fairy tale ending. So they're going to give us all the things. Also, the moment where like Lucifer said, I love you, was pretty goddamn wonderful. Also, again, I like that moment was, I think, well executed. Again, I think it did feel like most of the last 2 episodes felt a little rushed. But the fact that like Lucifer takes off the ring, puts it on her. Again, this is my thing of like, if Lucifer is burning alive, taking off his only life force, which is the 7th time he's basically died for Chloe, puts it on her fucking finger, and she's basically like, I'm gonna take this off as soon as Trixie dies. It's like, I mean, come on. Come on. So I hope they find something. But also, again, I do think Chloe needs to take off the ring at some point, because they have to talk about that idea of like human beings, like there's a limit to how long you can live. Your mind and whatnot is not made to do that. Although there were cases where like, the one guy who was cursed to live forever, Cain. There was instances like that where he never really had someone that he could exist in the world with, so he kind of just went, like he wanted to die because of that, and the minute he found meaning, it was the minute he wanted to live. And therefore that could be what Chloe's kind of going to go through, is as long as you have meaning and reason, you can live for as long as you possibly want. Maybe, although they do keep hinting at like things need to end. Like Eve, that's a big part of what her existence seems to be a part of, or idea of existence, is things coming to an end eventually. Which I guess, again, could still happen, just doesn't need to happen immediately. In 80 years, it could happen in like 20 centuries or something, and then they're like, okay, we're good. It's okay. You can leave me now. But also, I don't know how Lucifer, because that was the other thing that I felt like was, we'll talk about one more thing. Sorry, I know I'm kind of rambling. But one of the things that bothered me a little bit was, like, to me, I thought they could have handled that in a much more poetic way, which was not done. So, for instance, the thing I'm talking about is Lucifer becoming God. So to me, I thought that would be a beautiful moment, which I thought they were leaning towards, which was everyone saying Amenadiel. Amenadiel's clearly going to be the new God. Amenadiel. And then for God to basically be side-eyeing everyone and being like, really? You really think that Amenadiel, someone who has no experience in like leading to this extent, or doing XYZ, is going to be the person that should run the shop? Maybe it's the person who was the Lightbringer, who basically ran hell forever and knows how to do like bigger picture stuff, like Nan said, and just all around was like weirdly a preparation guide, almost like if for God seeing his son and his son wanting to run heaven, him be like, okay, if you truly want this, then I'm going to give you a place where you can hone your craft, and like learn how to do this stuff and become your own kind of person. And go, also, my dude, sorry, this side thing popped in my head. I was tearing up when his dad started losing it and telling him that, like, I was always proud of you, and I just couldn't tell you because it wouldn't have been right, you know, like, but now that I'm going, I need you to know that you're, like, amazing, and that I think you're wonderful, and I'm proud of the man you became. All that was just like heartwarming and like melting the sorrow. Anyways, moving on. Yeah, I thought they could have handled that better, because to me, instead, Lucifer was like, yeah, I want to be God, and I was just like, oh. I mean, I thought like it would have shown that he had progressed enough to know how much work and effort and like, especially when I think he did. I think towards the end, when his dad finally said goodbye and like all of the needing to prove yourself washed away, he kind of realized, oh wait, this is something like, if I actually think about how much effort this is insane. But it still kind of had moments where he was still kind of like, it became like a weird political, let's become president kind of thing, which feels kind of weird. Which again, I was hoping that they would handle that in a much more, again, I say poetic, meaning like it would have made sense for Lucifer's growth up to this point, would have had him to be the point where he would be like, no, why the fuck would I want to be God? You know how hard that is? Like, that's insane. That's so much to ask of anybody. I would be the last person that would take that mantle, because that's just too much. And then for God to be like, exactly. Exactly. You were in a place where you had so much responsibility and so much thing that you know the weight of that burden, and therefore you're the only person that now is worthy to take it, because you know how heavy it is. Instead, it was kind of just like, I want it. I want it, and Michael's bad. And I was kind of like, well, it seems a little undercooked and a little under like special. Especially for the fact that at the end it's like, full send it. He's that. And it's like, fucking woof. Okay, I don't know how he's gonna handle this, and it seems kind of weird, but sure. I'm sure it'll be excitable and fun, but yeah, that was something that I was hoping that they would do, which they didn't. But again, not my TV series, and I enjoyed the ride nevertheless. And I'm excited to see our going beyond a happy fairy tale ending. So yeah, but again, I'm not sure if you guys agree with me on that, but I think it could have been a lot more special, the fact that like Lucifer becoming God, and like that being, I think it is a poetic, like I think the timeline, like the story points, like I think it's like a storyboard kind of thing of like boom, boom, boom. I think it makes sense that Lucifer at the end not only is like with Chloe, but ends up taking the position that he always criticized his father for having, and the understanding the shortcomings of being in that position and what you have to do, knowing all can be a crazy burden and all these things. And that, I think that poetically makes sense on a storyboard. I just think the way they got there seems a little sloppy. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't seem like the guy who came up with the overarching story was like, okay, well, he kind of just became God and didn't like prove himself to be worthy of being God. And maybe in the last episode by sparing Michael and all these things, and like what is a pure feat than sacrificing everything for the one you love, and all that. So yeah, I don't know. But anyways, sorry, don't mean to be a downer, but I very much enjoyed it. Also, apparently in the next season, the last season, which is season 6, which is going to be going beyond a fairy tale ending, shockingly has 10 episodes. I thought it would have like 6, not 10. 10's a lot. Then again, most seasons like 20, so maybe it goes into everybody's weird minutia. But again, it is supposed to be time jumping around. I wonder how that will work, if they'll time jump and then characters will like interact with each other, and you'll be seeing people get like older, younger, older, and all these kinds of things. That'd be really cool to see. Like how they could make that a complex web of like seeing people at different ages of life. Like maybe when you go to see Maze like goes and interacts with Lucifer and Chloe, but then they see like a grave of like the forensic analyst, and they're like, yeah, this isn't sad, but like you don't realize how much time has actually passed and how Chloe and Lucifer don't age. But we'll see. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this is honestly more than me like telling you guys about what the future has. It's more me just talking about the loveliness, and honestly, some of the short. Again, I did love the experience. I like the, again, when you back up everything and you look at everything from like a storyboard perspective of like Lucifer goes through all these things, and at the end he becomes God. is a beautiful, like, kind of storybook ending, especially for all these characters we love so much. Yes, there was a lot of, like, back and forth weird minutia of, like, Lucifer having to learn things, Chloe having to, like, misunderstand things 6 different times, and yeah, weird, like, tensions always being there, because it's kind of just the basis of the show. But I am happy with the fact that, again, he did end up there. My only little not sure, a little shaky on how they eventually got to that point. And again, I would hope that the last couple episodes were a little bit longer, or like spread out more, because it did seem like a lot of ground was covered in that last little bit, which usually happens with the show. I find like the last 2 episodes are like, shit, we need to connect everything and make it an overarching story, shit. So, yeah. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, very much enjoyed it. Very much looking forward to season 6, the final season to round off this awesome show with one of the most charming main characters ever, and some of the most lovely, like just charming individuals in general. Chloe Decker, Amenadiel, everyone's progression. You know, seeing God and seeing Eve and all these things are lovely. But I digress, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time. Again, expect season 2 to come out early next year or very, very late this year. And I can't wait. I cannot wait. I hope they give us all the fan service loveliness for Chloe Decker and everything. And maybe they do kind of hint at like Lucifer eventually understanding the weight that being God has, and like forgiving his father and realizing that he shouldn't have said what he said or whatever. Who knows? But regardless, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you guys do enjoy the rest of your day. If you did like or share this video around, appreciate you immensely. You're more than I deserve. Thank you again, and goodbye.